Okay, so in our chat before, you mentioned many things about statistics and then biology. So other than these two areas, what do you think we need, skill that we need to have to get into the bioinformatics?
Actually, okay, a lot of people will say that, oh, you need to have programming skills and all that. I'm a little bit more kind of like relaxed with these things because I think if a person is curious enough, this person will learn all these things by themselves. If the person is not curious enough, even this person has programming skills, I tell you that this person is not going to do. So by curiosity, of course, is something that is very difficult to train. Like on paper, you can just maybe look at superficial things like programming skills. Of course, we know bioinformatics, you do need programming skills, but if the student is really curious, motivated, I think they will be inclined to learn these things, pick up, because they want to solve the problem. So they will say, if they want to solve that problem, they don't have this skill, it's like something that they can learn. And I think now the resources are so much that you can basically learn it maybe you learn it better in YouTube. Like there are so many resources, right? So I wouldn't say like you really need any particular set other than like some curiosity about the world.
It's coming back to curiosity, right?
If you're not curious about the world, nothing works.
So you don't just need hard skill and
I think the hard skill is something that you can pick up. But the curiosity is
of course.
Okay, question mark. How do we build curiosity, right? If you don't have curiosity, even you have the hard skill, it's not going anywhere.
The fundamental things actually, right? Okay.
And also the willingness to work on that field.
You just want to solve a problem, that's all.
So we have to combine this hard skill and the other part. Okay.
In our newest curriculum, actually, there are some new concentration. That is bioinformatics. I told you already. Personally, I want to know: is there any successful story about the implementation of statistics on the bioinformatics fields? Maybe that you have experience, or just you know from your colleague, maybe, for our inspiration.
Success stories. Well, a lot of bioinformatics tools, they are developed using statistical methodology, and they are packaged they are made available as software or whatever, R packages. So that's already like part of the products, like statistics has gone in. So I think another area might be that like AI. But of course, AI usually it's considered a field where the computer scientists have more say, like where statisticians have traditionally not been working in this area. Okay, so of course AI is something that is very kind of like important now, and I think focusing more on of course there are a lot of statistical concepts as well in AI, and sometimes like the AI people might develop some but as I mentioned, right, the statistics has essentially like two different kinds of statisticians who look at problems differently. One is the model centric, the other is more the algorithmic one. So I think the view of the more algorithmic view might be the one that's more important for future data. because data is so kind of like complex nowadays, and it seems that it seems kind of like a little bit difficult to find models that will adequately represent, right, approximate whatever that the data is trying to show. So algorithmic methods would be like deep learning. These are all algorithmic methods, and maybe statisticians should do more work in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you, because statistic model is just an estimation of the bigger population. What is your opinion? Is statistic really relate to that situation where the data is going bigger and bigger, and we're still using, this is just estimate, there's some error and something like that?
Yeah, of course. Like there are a lot of issues. Like for example, if your data is very large, even if you want to calculate the mean, you got like 1 billion samples. How do you calculate the mean?
Well, for example, we sum the data.
Yeah, but how do you read the data? You can't. You try to read a file that's got 1 billion rows.
Yeah.
There might be some problems with the computer. So how do we? So now it becomes like, okay, how do we even estimate these quantities? So you might have to use some kind of sampling ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have that, but I might randomly sample like a certain amount. Instead of 1 billion rows, I randomly sample and you do an estimation.
Yeah.
So it's still relevant.
Yeah.
Even in that sense, right? Because you think about like even some very traditional concepts like data representativeness.
Yeah.
Okay, the statisticians have known about this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just the data science people keep saying like, our predictions are wrong and why. The statisticians are looking at like, hey, your data is just not representative. So your sample size is big. No, that's besides the point. It's not representative. We know it already since like during Fisher's time, right? When Fisher and Carl Pearson had an argument. Carl Fisher said Carl Pearson was a person who did the classical statistics like correlation, principal components, and all that. He said that if your sample size approaches infinity, you will get to the truth.
Yeah.
Fisher said, that's wrong. That's wrong. It depends on how you get the sample.
Oh yeah, of course.
If I get the samples on the tail, like infinitely many, am I approaching the truth? No. But at that time it was like, I just take samples, right? Because at that time the concept was not there. Now we have the concept, right? And this concept has been around for many years. And of course, like data scientists and some computer scientists are rediscovering it and think that, this is new, right? This is not new, we already know it, it's common knowledge. So there are a lot of these things. So sometimes you read this literature, people try to say that, we discovered something new, especially if it relates to statistics. If you check carefully, we already know it like maybe 50 years ago. It's always like that. But this is normal. Like things that are being rediscovered are actually quite normal in science.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to do your literature.
So it's not about the amount of our data, but how we collect it.
Yeah. The amount, if it's biased in some direction, you can have all the data there, but there's nothing you can do to talk about like generalization. Right? So like people always like to say big data, like as if big is good.
Yeah.
So I would say like good data, not big data. Good data, not. But like as usual, people like tall buildings, big house, big data.
So,
but
big.
we just want a good house. So good house, good data. That should be the focus.
there's no point. Your house is big, but it's not good,
Yeah,
right?
precisely. You can have a big house, but this is like crumbling. That is like half done, and no, we don't want that. I might as well have a smaller house, but it's good.
Okay.
Better than a big house.
Yes. Okay, it's interesting. So,
Yeah.
Miss Atina.
Okay, I think it's a good analogy
Yeah.
for the data, and we can say that we will still use the traditional statistical method, if I can say in the root word. we say it as traditional statistic, but we know that this traditional statistic is very powerful. Yeah.
It solves a large class of problems, but at the same time, it has to be considered as something powerful because they are frequently providing very good approximations to the whatever that's happening in the real world. So if you have a formula, the nice thing is the formula doesn't need to have iterations. You just plug in the values, you get the result. So it's fast. If you have algorithmic values, you have to do iterations, like step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you iterate many times, then the computation time will increase. So classical methods are still going to be around. So they will form some kind of backbone of the statistics education. But of course, to connect to the modern situation, algorithmic methods have to be taught, so that the students are not constrained by their inability to work on algorithmic methods.
Okay, back to the chat about the bioinformatics. So, do you think that bioinformatics field can be collaborated with the other fields? Let's say I come from the actuarial science. So, what do you think? What do you think that these two fields can be collaborated together?
Okay, so far I haven't heard of any. It's just me. I don't know whether there really are, but I haven't heard of any collaborations between like works that involve actuarial science and bioinformatics, and probably it has got something to do with conflict of interest, perhaps, with these two fields, because with bioinformatics you can, for example, know some risk factors, for genetic risk factors that predispose you to heart disease, diabetes or whatever. Bioinformatics can discover these things.
Yeah.
Do they want to collaborate with an actuarial scientist and let them use this to charge the premium? Now that is a question, right? Because this opens up a complicated issue, which is actuarial science is a for-profit industry. Bioinformatics dealing with medical data is, well, fundamentally they can say that they want to improve human health and that may be universal. But of course later there might be some commercial applications, right? But you talk about actuarial science, like for example in your case, right? It's for commercial 100%, right? So if you try to use information from the health status to charge people a premium, that may open up some ethics issues, and I think that might be why, or one of the reasons why I think I've not heard of any sort of these collaborations, trying to tap into bioinformatics and maybe use that information to improve the premium calculation. And, that seems to be a conflict of interest. So, but that's just my opinion.
Actually, I have ever read about the paper that talking about the critical illness insurance. So maybe in some parts, bioinformatics can be collaborated, but maybe for the other parts that we face with the ethics, so we cannot collaborate.
It's difficult because it will go to an area where it's no longer about science or statistics, but it's more like privacy, ethics, and then at the end nobody wants to touch that topic because it's very complicated. Yeah, I guess it must be one of the reasons why people are a bit not too much into like, hey, you know, I want to collaborate with actuaries with my biomedical data, and people are like, yeah, but you have confidentiality things, right? So, but I think of course there are other fields like chemistry, physics, and all that. Maybe there should be some collaborations depending on what is the nature like. But of course, we should also expect that not all fields are going to have some kind of nexus where the two fields overlap, right? I mean, that's also normal. Okay.
Yeah. So it based on what areas can collaborate with the bioinformatics, especially to overcome the ethics and confidentiality problem. Okay.
Okay, I think this is the last question from us. Maybe you can give advice to us lecturer, to all students who watch this podcast, how we can be a successful in the academic life.
I don't like to advise people because and we'll talk about success in the academia. The first thing is what is meant by success?
Maybe for me, success is you can be helpful to others with your expertise, something like that. So
helpful.
Maybe I'm statistician, so I can use my knowledge to help others to ease their life. Maybe that's my definition actually.
I'm implicitly assuming that my views of success will be the same as yours, and that usually will not be the case, right? I think generally, what I might say is that if you want to stay in the academia, that you might have to put up with some situations where things may not be always the kind of things that you hope to have. Like for example, if you say you just want to do research a lot, but you may not actually get a lot of time to do that, you might be asked to do a lot of teaching. But at the same time, your KPI is publication. So then you ask yourself, like, how am I going to do this? Like every day I teach 4 hours, then I have to do admin work, and I'm so tired. So how do I get research done? Right? You feel like, so you have some kind of situations like which is very common, right? Because teaching is still considered the main duty, but publication is required for visibility and generally to enhance the environment, the culture of a place, right? So if you don't do research, it's also a little bit bad because you don't know what's new in the area, and that may translate to like maybe it will affect your curriculum design. It will affect your ability to coach students. So maybe after some time your curriculum will become backward and your students are not marketable. It will lead to something like this because your people do not know enough about the field. So then everything starts to become like very old-fashioned, and slowly your competitors who are a little bit more sophisticated, they will get all the students, right? So eventually you might kind of like lose your job and things like that. So I think one of the things may be that even though you are busy, you might need to try to do some research. And it doesn't need to be doing research on your own. You can find someone who is of the same channel. You have to find someone who is on the, research cannot be forced. Like you can't say like, okay, you get assigned to someone to do research together.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to
of
be you have to have some chemistry,
Yeah.
right? So, and increasingly, I think that has to be done like just try to get some research done. You can start with simple, like you at the beginning you may just try to aim for some like decent journals, like if you are a little bit kind of like maybe you can try some journals, like try to go to some journals that are maybe more I know that sometimes people might want to go to journals that are a little bit more local, but
Yeah.
yeah, so you can of course do that if sometimes the situation is that that's the only thing you can do, but always try to like move, like okay, this year I can do local, the next one I should move up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Broadening our
Yeah, so
cycle.
because you see this is what we call like compounding effect. If every year you just know 5% more than the previous year, not much, just 5%.
5%.
Just 5%, you just know more 5%. After 10 years,
Oh, after.
it's compounding interest. You might know 50% more than what you started off. You imagine if somebody you go another 20 years, it's compounding. That's why if you every year you just know, we just think conservatively, 5% every year. After 20 years, you are a different person. And you're not even like, like giving your full strength. Every year I just do consistent, just 5% more than last year.
Yeah.
20 years time, you are a different person.
Yeah.
But if every year you do the same thing, after 20 years, you are still the same
Still
person.
the same person.
So nothing has changed. It's still like back 20 years ago. The skill level that you have is just like that. Your mindset is still 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think the key here is consistency. Do things consistently and then just be happy with it. I think as long as it's an honest work, honest effort, you will be proud of yourself. You have a good time with your friends. You have good memories. If that can be used for promotion, it's good. But if it doesn't come, it's also okay because it's a piece of work and you can be confident that maybe it has contributed to humanity, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you got some fun out of it. So yeah, I think that you might want to set some internal standards, like how do you see yourself? Like you don't have to compete with other people.
Yeah.
I think the wrong framework is you try to compare with other people.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that because they are not, if we are statisticians, right? We know that in order to compare two things, their background must be the same. They must be comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how can you do that for different human beings? They have different different educational history,
Yeah.
different developmental histories, different levels of responsibility at the family level. All sorts of things are so different,
Yeah.
right? So how can you say that that person is better than that person?
Mm.
Maybe that person has to take care every day of someone and has no time.
Yeah.
So the comparison should be with yourself, like last year and this year. And because you are the same person, right?
Yeah.
Your background is the same. So that's valid comparison. That is the only scientifically valid comparison. You don't have to look at other people, oh, this person is like, no, that's the wrong way. And a lot of people, if you do it like that, they become depressed, they become anxious, like they become envious and all sorts of negative. That's the wrong thing to do. Just compare with yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
okay,
right.
last year I didn't know this, but now I think I have known a bit more.
Yeah.
5%, okay, pretty good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Next year I do another 5%.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like that, it's okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that's just great. They'll work magic on your career, I think. Because these things that we are in, if you're in the academia, it's not for short term. It's for long term, so just consistency. Don't do much. 5% enough. Go for it.
Yeah.
But if you can do 10%, all right. But we'll see, right? Maybe some years 10%, some years 3%, some years 5%. Right? You decide yourself. But don't make it 0%,
Yeah.
and that's bad.
Yeah. So it's about the consistency.
Consistency, and that's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Like waking up every day at 6 o'clock and doing jogging for 30
Yeah.
hours, 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
We don't know it's good for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you might start to do it for 1 day, 1 week. Like after that, it's like
I'm boring.
But you imagine if you do that for 1 year, 2 years. Imagine how that affects your health.
Yeah.
You start to think it's consistency, even short amounts, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Wake up 6 o'clock, go jogging for 30 minutes, then get ready for work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. After 10 years, you look at your body different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
right? We all know this, but
Yeah, but
I
maybe
know.
it's difficult
yes,
to do
But
for
it's-
some of us.
it's good to remind us
Yeah.
ourselves
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the time. Like, okay, we know this is the right thing to do. When am I going to start?
That's the question.
Start now, right? Start now. Right?
Yeah. That's one of the difficult parts to start. Yeah, but I think we have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, everyone. I think that's all for today podcast in the research in statistics from Professor Khang. Thank you very much,
Okay,
Professor
thank
Khang.
you.
It's such an honor for us, for you to come here. I hope you're happy, enjoy your time at Yogyakarta, especially at Universitas Islam Indonesia.
Okay, I will.
Feel free to come again if you have time in the next future, maybe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And to all of the viewers, don't forget to subscribe and share this video. And see you in the next episode. Genggam data kuasai dunia. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.